was planned.
We're going to
No
get
way.
into a topic right now that I know Rhino, he sits here every week, and he just wants to know when will we talk about it? Well, we're going to talk about it right now for a little bit, maybe a couple minutes. And that would be...
You really want me to question my existence, don't you?
Star Wars,
you look
the
like you're
Acolyte.
broadcasting from hell, man. What's going on behind you?
Well, me?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I needed a new background, and I just looked at my desktop, and I had a bunch of fire, I guess. So I went, that'll work.
Fire makes great thumbnails, I'm telling you.
Got the hot
So, what kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week?
Here we go. God.
Whoa.
Evader.
Alan from Film Threat responds to her loving the Acolyte and says that she must love it for the same reason that kids love Paw Patrol, which I thought was kind of funny.
When does it come out again?
Paw Patrol.
The 4th.
This Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, fuck.
Comes out this week. I think comes Tuesday. Right? I think 4. Isn't the first 4 dropping?
First 2 episodes.
Just the first 2. Okay.
And then it's obviously a total of 7 weeks.
Now,
episodes.
What's funny is the reviews are coming out, and of course, a masterpiece. It's amazing. Best Star Wars, of course, since Andor.
Oh no.
Yes, but they're also, a lot of them are also saying that it is like Andor, but with lightsabers, or it's the force-sensitive version of Andor. And the crazy thing about that is, like, Andor didn't get watched all that much. The ratings were actually horrible for Andor.
Yep, it was really bad.
And nobody really cares. No, like, I know that there's people out there that will, disagree. Like, that people don't care. But the ones that do are literally just the pronoun people on Twitter, the shippers, and that's it. And then there's a couple of fence riders that will literally, like, ride the fence until, well, man, they'll ride the fence forever. But yeah, like, to say that the Acolyte is like Andor with lightsabers, no one cared about Andor, so nobody's going to care about this. Just because you're now throwing lightsabers on the screen, it's almost like they're throwing nostalgia bait into their reviews. Oh, come and watch it. It's like Andor with lightsabers. Well, I didn't care about Andor, so I'm not going to...
Rhino, you're not excited to see the light whip?
Hey, I'm excited for this series, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for this series.
It actually is a horrible example to use Andor to be like, hey, it's like Andor. And then everyone's like, I didn't watch Andor because nobody watched it. So it's they're going to need to find a better analog if they're actually going to pull people in.
Oh, yeah.
This show, to me, just seems like content to show. Like, it's a good show if you're a YouTuber person who critiques stuff, because now you have something to critique. Yeah. But besides that, I don't think most people are going to watch it. I think people are just going to wait for YouTubers to watch it and then just tell them what happens.
I'm not watching it.
What I'm doing.
What I'm
going
to do,
watch it and then just talk about it. That's
what I'm going to do is cover the reviews saying it's a masterpiece and the ratings, because I'm going to promise you right now that this will not have good ratings.
No,
I think maybe the first week will, and then, as usual, we're going to see a massive decline when it comes to these Star Wars shows. This brand is toast.
Yeah,
it's interesting seeing
successfully ran into the ground.
The amount of people who talk about how they debate back and forth about whether Star Wars is doing well or not anymore. So just the fact that they've abandoned making movies tells you that it's not doing well.
Yeah, and also, too, the only people that actually do say that, Dave Filoni's coming back to save Star Wars, or George Lucas is coming back to save Star Wars, the only people that are actually saying that are the people that actually think that Star Wars is really good. So I don't know what these people are supposed to be coming in to save Star Wars from, when in your head, and based on the reactions that I see from you watching Star Wars, you're loving everything. So
there's this population that believes that any Star Wars is good Star Wars. Like, it would be a tragedy if there was just no Star Wars, even if it's bad.
Yeah, but what's the percentage?
They just want to
of
hear the sound effects and all of that. You know what I mean?
What's the actual amount of people that are left like that, though? That's my question. Because even George kind of snuffed out any idea of him coming back to Star Wars in that interviews, in those interviews that he gave for cons.
Yeah, Valiant covered those, and he's clear. He's like, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah.
What's
not
really
forget
great
this guy
about
just
this?
fucking sided with the enemy anyway. But yeah,
What's really great? Yeah, that was a big fucking disappointment.
most
But,
of the shit he said in those interviews was pretty fucking stupid. Yes, I like the stuff that he said about Star Wars, but then he turns right around and says, "Yeah, I'm never giving you the original ones. Fuck you."
Yeah.
Yep.
So my
I think
favorite
it'll
thing.
be a great way to start determining how good this is going to be. Will it last longer than the Galactic Super Cruiser lasted as a hotel? And I'm willing to bet against.
No, didn't I hear they were reopening that again or some shit?
I think under a different
God,
thing,
God.
right?
Something like
but
that.
what they
Val,
opened
you
it
know
wasn't
anything
it
about it?
wasn't it based on like the sequel trilogy? That's why no one cares.
Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy's idea
Kathleen
was to
Kennedy.
do that. You can tell if you've ever been there, and I guess some original designs leaked. I'm not 100% on that, but the you can tell that thing was being designed to be Tatooine, and they shifted it and turned it into that base. But when you look at the aesthetics that they have for that shit there, it's pretty obvious to me that it was being built to be Tatooine. And then we know Kathleen Kennedy 100% called and stopped that and said, we're not trying to get the dads. We're trying to get the kids. It needs to be based on what we're doing now, not in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That was what she said.
Yeah,
and
good luck with that.
Shifted it.
The kids don't care. They do not care.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Well,
like
that's
they're
just
destroying it on purpose, man. They're destroying it on purpose. Like you got a new show coming out, and you're leading by saying that it's been up and down with Star Wars, but we just want to say this: if you're racist, there's no room for you in Star Wars. Like, why would you make that statement on the eve of you releasing this show?
They're going by the old playbook.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised, but
it's their version of you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That's exactly what it is.
To celebrate the show's release, Kathleen Kennedy got off of her.
It's funny because she acknowledges that the majority of her audience is male.
She doesn't want them.
That was it.
No, I know that.
She's
but
been doing her damnest to
she
turn it into a
acknowledges
female brand the entire time that she's been there.
It's the same thing that's happened with Warhammer, right? What they're doing is they don't want you if you don't agree with them. So they want to get rid of everybody that doesn't agree with them and just make the fan base people that do agree with them. Even if that's smaller, they're confident that in 5, 10, 15 years, because they can outlast, because at least that's what they think, they'll eventually get a new fan base over time that will replace you guys.
Yeah, it's the fallacy, right? But no, Tug and probably potentially Criminal can back me up on this one. Like the whole idea of them saying it like this puts the idea out there. Well, if you don't like this, you are this istophobe, right? So it's this fucking mind game. It's this gaslighting mind game they're playing with the people. Yep. That's what it is.
Well, and I can't wait for with the Acolyte. If you don't like it, it's because you don't like the fact they have the dude from Philosophy Tube in it.
Well, and Alan Ng.
You know what we need is a tranny communist running around to make your show awesome.
Well, the Acolyte, Sean, is going to have the first trans character in Star Wars. That's what they've been touting. And look,
since Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. The guy from Philosophy Tube, whatever his name is.
Ahmad Best.
No, the other guy, the Philosophy Tube guy.
Okay, Ahmad Best was Jar Jar Binks. No,
that was my fault. I just made a stupid joke.
Okay, that's why I was just wanted to clarify. But I mean, look, you look at this right now, and this is part of everything we've talked about tonight, right? From Donald Trump to the changing of the characters from Silent Hill, what we've seen in Spider-Man. The stuff that people like Endymion over here and Grums and all these other guys have been covering feverishly out there. It's all the same woke virus that has infected corporate America. And, I always try to cover things from the Wall Street perspective because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the money hits. And we've tried to, I've tried to push not so much into the social side of things as I have tried to push into the financial side of things to try to get Wall Street's attention to realize it's like, look, this is just burning shareholder capital. It doesn't matter if it's a publicly traded company that does video games or a publicly traded company that does movies and television out of Hollywood. It's all the same stuff. And Wall Street's got to wake up and realize that all of this crap for all of the virtue signaling that it's doing, there's no actual measurable financial results for this kind of thing. We've actually shown the opposite is true. We've actually shown that by engaging in these kind of practices and doing this kind of thing, that you're actually denigrating shareholder capital. You're denigrating investor capital. We're seeing Disney, ride up and down in the same range for the last several years, the last 3 years, from a point of support on the stock market of around maybe $80 to $85 a share to a point of top-end resistance, as we call it in the financial world, of maybe around 120. People are talking about this week how Nelson Peltz bailed out of Disney stock, and it's like, well, of course he did, because Nelson. It's not like these shares that Peltz had were personally owned. These were shares that were held in trust under fiduciary responsibilities under the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA guidelines, shit that I've had to work my entire career under for the last 20 years as a financial planner running a private firm and a private wealth management firm. It's like, you've got to do what's best for the clients. Nelson Peltz, so he picked up Disney stock again a second time around $80, $85 a share, and then when it got up to 120 during his proxy fight, which he even told people that this is probably what he was going to do. When he did his town hall meeting a few weeks before the Disney annual shareholder meeting, where he lost the vote, not by that much. He got 30 some odd % of the vote. I want to remind folks that Michael Eisner got ousted from the Walt Disney Company 20 years ago with just 43% of the vote. Mm-hmm. Not that much more than what Nelson Peltz was trying to do to Bob Iger. So, I mean, it's just, that's where we are.
Well, look, when it comes to money, all I know is that the Acolyte has cost them $180 million for 8 episodes at 30 minutes an episode.
It's more. It's more.
I reckon it's more too.
Yeah.
With how long this has been, apparently been in the production, and then, of course, the whole sizzle reel bullshit. But yeah, like $180 million for 8 30-minute episodes. I mean, come on, man. Are you serious? You're spending that kind of money? You're not going to see any of this money back. None of it.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Story-wise.
Got a couple of super chats here.
Go.
Iraqus, I think, is what that name is.
Like
Iraqus. Yeah, there we go. Oh, okay, I see now. I don't think I've seen it spelt out. Yeah, that's from Dune. You're right. For 20, it says, you don't watch The Acolyte. You suffer it. Hayden75 says for 20, Valiant Renegade, thank you for making a Jackson Pollock art reference. I compare his art to things all the time as a joke, and nobody ever gets it. Then I realize I'm the only one who knows who he is. Get cultured, people.
Yeah.
There you go.
Rolando Ramirez for 20 says, well, Rhino, sorry to say, but Mahler and friends like Andor, but I got bored from their discussion from it. But I will say maybe it is good for them, but I just don't care for Star Wars, really. And I got to add, I'm right there with you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I was on Open Bar the first time, and we were talking about Star Wars, and I said I didn't really like Andor. The awkward silence between me, Critical Drinker, and Mahler. And they're like, you didn't like Andor? And I'm like, I got a chimpanzee brain. Okay. I need stimulation. So like,
I actually want to talk to those guys about Andor because, like, not to try and change their minds. I can understand where they're coming from. It is probably the best thing that has come out of Disney Star Wars, but my problems go deeper than just the characters.
But
the spelling for the way he did Iraq is different than the way the people in the chat are spelling it. So I don't know if that's what he was saying there then.
Here, the funny thing, Rhino, is a couple of points to what you made here is that I think Andor, people really gravitated towards that as being so different. Number one, because that was the first Disney Plus show where they actually shot things on location, on real sets,
It
as
looked
opposed
better,
to the volume.
definitely.
Right.
I agree with that.
Cinematically, and look, I've made this statement countless times on my own show where I'm like, look, I will never chide the technicians who make these shows. The guys and girls on the ground, the grips, the techs, the gaffers, the cinematographers especially, they're hired guns. they're doing the best that they can do given the criteria that they're given. So I think that's why Andor looked as good as it did, is because it was done very differently from every other Disney Plus Star Wars show to that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think
I agree with what you're saying, but the only other thing too is that the person that made it, Tony Gilroy, he's come out specifically saying that he's not a Star Wars fan. Now, I'm not saying that you've got to be a Star Wars fan to be involved, but you've got to, like, there was one of the biggest things that was talked about, or one of the bigger things that was talked about, was the fact that in Andor there were no real aliens, there were no real droids. There was a droid here or there, but it didn't feel like the world of Star Wars because of that. And he specifically said, "Yeah, I wanted to put them in the background."
Mm-hmm.
Like
that was my issue too.
You've got human characters everywhere, and even the prison stuff, right? Like, I know going off on a slight tangent here, but when you go into the prison, why aren't there droids that are programmed to build these things? Why have you got sentient human beings, and all of them are human, mind you, not one alien in this prison? Why?
The whole idea that this show, the whole idea that this show was all white dudes is stupid. Literally one of the coolest black characters in sci-fi, Lando, like came from Star Wars. So to say that like there's no diversity or anything on this is fucking stupid.
But it doesn't count, Flash, because
everybody
that was 40
fucking
years ago.
likes Lando. Lando is fucking cool,
yeah,
suave, fucking character.
But that's the narrative that doesn't make sense.
Nobody was hating
virus.
him.
You've got Leia, you've got Mon Mothma, you've got Padme, you've got your black characters, you've got Samuel L. Jackson, you've got you've got the
just going off the old.
How about this?
Dude, though, in a galaxy far, far away, there is no Africa, there's no Europe, there's none of that stuff.
Thank you, Mark.
I mean, the diversity is in the diversity of species and different worlds, and you know what I mean?
Well, that's why that's why Lucas even said during that same interview at the Cannes Film Festival, where he's like, well, the diversity in I don't know if he said diversity, but he said, the whole issue with race in Star Wars is like, well, we had aliens. Aliens were the diversity because this wasn't Earth, Mark, to your point. It's exactly what he was talking about. It's like the diversity was we had alien species.
And Palpatine was an actual racist character. He was racist against aliens. He was
exactly
right. I can't remember the word now.
The problem is modern generations. Modern generations aren't used to actually layered storytelling that goes beyond just goes past.
It's superficial, Brett.
And dude,
and look,
I've been saying too for like the longest that you judge the appeal of your movie and the diversity not by what's on the screen, but what is in the audience, what your movie attracts. Your audience is diverse. No matter what anybody says, they try to tell the lie. I never saw myself. I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Bullshit, man. I've been around, for as long as Star Wars has been around, and I always felt at home, and I've always hung out with people who felt at home. So that is a lie that they tell.
The other lie is like the women or the female fans in Star Wars, right? It's like I talked about this on another stream. When you came across as a dude in this fandom, when you came across a chick that was a fan of it, did you say like fuck off? Or did you actually embrace that that love for the franchise and actually start talking to the person about it?
Hold on a second.
I've got the best one on here though. Nick hates Star Wars, and they represented him. They had that pansexual or whatever with Lando. So
oh, that's right. Yeah, Lando.
Yeah, see, Nick still hates it. There you go. It doesn't work.
True.
Thank
but
you.
see, this is the other thing too. The fan base goes so deep. Like, there are fans that are like even more hardcore into it than even I am. But then you get these actors that come out and say, "Oh yeah, but Anakin was bad because he blew up the Death Star," like not having no idea what the hell they're even talking about.
That was so bad.
Like, if you're going to make a reference like that and you're going to talk about that, make sure that you at least get it right. Now, even if he then, let's say, was trying to say that Luke was bad and he got his name right and he said Luke blew up the Death Star and that made him a bad guy, then you've lost your sense of good and evil in the world. It's basically as simple as that. They blew up Alderaan, killed billions of people. They were running a tyrannical government across the entire galaxy. and Luke actually liberated it a little bit by blowing up the Death Star, and that's the evil action. Like, you've lost your sense of...
Luke was a colonizer, you bastard!
Dude, it's called Star Wars. Star Wars. That's Star Negotiations.
Yeah. He said kill billions, and I got excited for a second because I thought he said kill Bill.
Yeah, I know.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, we're still talking about the same fucking thing for the 253rd time.
Yeah.